I have a spiritual practice that is relatively new to me, and indeed is new to many of us across the diocese. It's called dwelling in the Word, which is a different term than Bible study, and as it turns out, dwelling in the Word is quite a different practice. Bible study, at least as I have experienced it over the years, has largely been about knowing. Knowing the text, knowing its meaning, knowing what one is supposed to know. I often felt intimidated because I felt I didn't know enough or couldn't remember enough. And it has often been the case in my experience that Bible study has devolved into an informal competition over who had learned better and who knew more. Whereas Bible study has, for me, been about the task of knowing, dwelling in the Word is about imagination. What is the text saying to me? How is it kindling my imagination about who God is and how God is working in the world and in my life? Dwelling in the Word invites deep listening, listening to the text itself and listening to the other people in the group whose imaginations are being stirred up by the passage the group is reading together. In the public arena, the Bible is often used as a verbal weapon. It's as if there is just one way to know a text, and the study of the Bible then becomes an exercise in establishing certainty, all of which not only shuts down imagination, but it prevents conversation. 30 years or so ago, I remember a presidential candidate saying with some pride and calculated political effect that the Bible had the answer to every question that had ever been asked. Reducing the Bible to proof texting in order to promote an answer, which more often than not reinforces some agenda, does a disservice to the complexity, mystery, and depth of the text. I don't dwell in the Word for the purpose of finding answers. No, I dwell in the Word for the purpose of deepening my relationship with God and discerning yet again how God was at work in the world when the text was written and how God is at work today. It is often the case that reading a text produces more questions than it yields answers. And the questions become an invitation to engage the imagination to probe the mystery of God and the challenges of life. We live in a culture that floods us with information. I read somewhere that people who live in the New York metropolitan area, which includes all of the Diocese of Newark, receive an average of 1,000 different messages a day, either from another person, a printed page, or an electronic device. All of that information, much of which is packaged in such a way that it demands our attention, leaves little space for imagination. The world needs our imagination to get beyond cynicism and certainty in order to dream with God and have our hearts and minds opened up to the fullness of God's mercy and blessing.